Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, new details on a standoff in Cuero last night. We'll go over the charges the man now faces.
Progress continues on the Salvation Army's Life Enrichment Center. Hear from the commanding officer.
And a meeting with a controversial figure leaves one leader ousted. The details of that meeting and who that person is straight ahead.
We're going to have one toasty weekend. As a matter of fact, we'll be almost at record-breaking temperatures. However, don't give up. Next week, things are looking much better for some October weather and some rain. We'll have all that coming up in a moment.
Humanitarian aid is set to enter the Gaza Strip amid deadly airstrikes. You're watching 25 News Now at 5. Good afternoon. Thank you for being with us. I'm James Munoz.
And I'm Karina Garcia. We begin in Cuero. Yesterday, the Cuero Police Department responded to the 100 block of Alamo Circle around 4:30 p.m. The person who made the call said earlier in the day a heated dispute involving a firearm occurred. It was later determined 61-year-old Franklin Fisher of Cuero was the person in distress and was described as suicidal. Following the investigation, it was discovered a firearm was discharged, leading to the arrest of Fisher. Fisher is now charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. If you are a loved one experiencing thoughts of suicide, please reach out to the 24/7 Crisis Lifeline at 988.
The Wharton County Sheriff's Office is investigating why a Wharton man died inside an intentionally set vehicle fire. It happened on County Road 142 Monday afternoon. The El Campo Leader News reports authorities say it's too early to say. The body of Basir Shahani, reportedly of Wharton, was taken to the Fort Bend County Medical Examiner's Office for an autopsy. Hallettsville police arrested 32-year-old Leonard Rodriguez of Big Wells after a high-speed chase. Authorities say Rodriguez was traveling towards Hallettsville at speeds around 100 miles an hour. The driver came to a stop in the 100 block of East 4th Street. Officers charged Rodriguez with evading arrest in a motor vehicle. He's in the Lavaca County Jail in lieu of a $20,000 bond.
Early voting in the state's constitutional amendment election starts next Monday. Proposition 1 would add farming and ranching practices to the Texas Bill of Rights. The proposition asks voters to add the right to engage in farming, ranching, timber production, and wildlife management to Article 1 of the Texas Constitution. Election day is Tuesday, November 7th. So here is your viewer poll. You can scan that QR code on your screen to vote. The question is, how do you plan to vote on the Texas Proposition 1? Are you for it or against it? We want to hear from you. Come to crossroadstoday.com/vote to take part, and we're going to have an update on 25 News Now at 6. Now, the Salvation Army of Victoria's Life Enrichment Center is near completion. Construction started September 1st at the Salvation Army's home office, 1302 North Lewis Street. The center is about 2,000 square feet. It will have a classroom that can hold 12 people at a time with computers in the classroom. There's also a library and study area, as well as a medical room where people can get wound care, assessments, and referrals. It will have a computer station and laundry facility. The Salvation Army of Victoria was able to accomplish this after they received a $250,000 grant from the City of Victoria for the Life Enrichment Center.
But it's so exciting to finally see this happen. This was really the vision of our city manager, Jesus Garcia. And this came about almost 3 years, about 3 years ago this month. And so it's finally now coming to fruition, and we're very excited, very excited.
Captain Jones believes the Life Enrichment Center could open mid-November. The Victoria ISD Board of Trustees will hold their monthly meeting in the administration building room located at 102 Profit Drive at 6 p.m. today. There is a public hearing to discuss the school district's rating on the state's financial accountability system.
All right, Mac, people are making costume decisions. Is it going to be cold? We need trick-or-treating weather.
Yeah, this is the time of year you need a weatherman in your life, because you see, if you build it based on today's weather, you're going to go thin. But next week, when Halloween comes in, I expect it to be colder. So let's just get through the weekend. Sometime this afternoon or this evening, our winds are going to turn to the north again. So that's going to bring us some dry air, and that's not exactly going to cool us down. We're looking for high temperatures in the low 90s over the weekend. But then next week, a lot of things are going to be changing. I'll have all that coming up in a moment.
Mac, thank you. In Austin, the president of a Republican political organization was ousted after meeting with a white supremacist.
One of the most outspoken conservative political figures in Texas appears to have been ousted from leadership by a political organization he led days after he allegedly met with a white supremacist, Nick Fuentes. Now, the Defend Texas Liberty PAC's website has been essentially scrubbed of Jonathan Stickland, who was its president. Instead, it names Luke Macias as head of the organization. Robert Downen broke that story for the Texas Tribune.
There have been questions raised today, at least, about, I guess the degree to which this may just be a cosmetic change by just simply shifting out shifting in a new president who is also allied with Stickland.
Normally, a leadership change in a PAC wouldn't make headlines, but Defend Texas Liberty has become something of a household name for Texas political watchers for backing some of the most hardline conservative lawmakers in the Lone Star State.
If your criteria for influence is you make a lot of noise on Twitter, yes, they're influential. If your criteria for influence is they identify viable primary candidates and successfully land them in office, then they have not been influential.
Thousands of dollars have gone to far-right conservatives in both Texas House and Senate, and millions to Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, who said he doesn't intend to return those donations. But this shakeup might not mean long-term change among Texas Republicans, including among the big three: Governor Greg Abbott, Lieutenant Governor Patrick, and House Speaker Dade Phelan.
I think, there are play in that relationship with a lot more gravity than that is exerted by this PAC, and certainly by the individuals involved in it.
Defend Texas Liberty and Jonathan Stickland have gone almost entirely radio silent on that meeting with Fuentes. A week ago, though, after Stickland reportedly met with Fuentes, who has denied the Holocaust and expressed fondness for Hitler, Defend Texas Liberty released a statement saying Texas remains committed to Israel as conflict in the Middle East grows.
A Texas legislator has called for an investigation into Stickland's meeting with Fuentes.
In San Antonio, 6 students are recovering after their school bus crashed into an 18-wheeler. The incident happened Wednesday afternoon. The school district said 20 middle school students were on that bus. 6 were sent to the hospital in stable condition, along with the bus driver. The cause of the crash is under investigation.
Texas is set to receive millions of dollars in funding toward expanding its power grid. The Biden administration announced 4 projects slated for Texas. Among the projects are San Antonio's utility CPS Energy's $32 million planned construction of microgrids based around solar and battery energy. Xcel Energy, which has power plants, wind farms, and transmission lines in Texas, was awarded $142 million to strengthen its system against extreme weather and wildfire.
Day 16 and the House still has no speaker. Jim Jordan lost 2 rounds of voting and is currently on his 3rd round.
However, it's unclear if voting will take place. Jordan has lost support from his Republican colleagues in each round of voting, but he says he will stay in the fight.
Ohio Republican Jim Jordan continues his effort to become Speaker of the House. He failed to get the support of 22 of his Republican colleagues in the 2nd round. He could only afford to lose 4. Jordan vowing to stay in the fight for as long as it takes to win.
We're continuing to talk with members.
Former Speaker Kevin McCarthy defending Jordan's delay, saying he should have more time to whip the votes he needs.
Normally, you have an election in November. So I had from November all the way to January to work on winning Speaker. Jim Jordan's had less than 48 hours here, okay?
Still, some Republicans firm in their stance against Jordan, even proposing other options.
I think it is imperative that we pass the resolution empowering Patrick McHenry to serve as the temporary speaker.
Temporary Speaker Patrick McHenry says he's not interested.
I'm going to the floor to vote for Jim Jordan.
Some Republicans refusing to back Jordan are facing growing pressure to fold. Representative Don Bacon telling ABC his phone's been flooded with calls, including his wife's phone.
My wife's been getting anonymous texts and anonymous phone calls trying to compel her to force me to change my vote, which is wrong. It's crossing boundaries.
After withdrawing her support for Jordan, Congresswoman Marionette Miller Meeks revealing she received what she called credible death threats and several threatening calls. Jordan has since commented on the threats his Republican colleagues are receiving. He says they're terrible and just wrong. Ika Jachi, ABC News, Capitol Hill.
Israel's defense minister told ground troops to prepare to enter the Gaza Strip, though he didn't give an exact time of when the invasion would start. So far, Israeli airstrikes have hit locations across the small state, including in parts of the south. that the nation once said was safe. In one neighborhood, a number of civilians were killed and wounded Thursday. These attacks have heightened fears among more than 2 million Palestinians who are trapped. Overwhelmed hospitals are trying to stretch out medical supplies and fuel for diesel generators to keep equipment running. Workers in Rafah are preparing for the border crossing to open Friday morning. At least 25 trucks carrying humanitarian aid for Palestinians in Gaza are awaiting. Earlier Wednesday, several diggers and fire trucks entered the crossing to fix the road connecting the Egyptian and Palestinian border crossings. Egyptian leaders said Israel struck the border area, making it impassable. The U.S., Egypt, and Israel agreed to open the border after President Biden's meeting with Israel's Prime Minister yesterday.
TxDOT wants input on a long-range plan that will guide transportation priorities through the year 2050. TxDOT will host an open house 4:30 to 6 p.m. Wednesday, October 25th at the Victoria College Emerging Technology Complex, 7403 Lone Tree Road, Meeting Hall 101. Residents will have an opportunity to fill out a survey providing input on the plan. The survey asks residents to rate different types of transportation strategies in 6 categories.
Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. Military leaders and law enforcement are investigating a death at a military base in North Carolina. Straight ahead on 25 News Now at 5, the details of that investigation.
Also ahead, a heroic bus driver saved a mother's son. The incident all caught on camera. These stories and more straight ahead. Lejeune Marine is dead and another Marine is in custody. Military leaders there say base law enforcement authorities arrested a Marine suspected of involvement and the death of another Marine. The Marine was taken into custody at about 10:15 Wednesday night. Base leaders said the incident unfolded in an on-base barracks room. The base said further details will be provided as they become available. Sidney Powell, a former attorney for former President Donald Trump, pleads guilty to Georgia election interference charges. She pleaded guilty today to 6 misdemeanor counts as part of a deal reached with prosecutors. Powell agreed to serve 6 years of probation, pay a $6,000 fine, and $2,700 in restitution to Georgia. She also agreed to submit an apology letter to Georgia's citizens and testify at related court proceedings. Powell is one of 19 defendants named in DA Fani Willis's indictment.
The man accused of orchestrating the fatal shooting of rapper Tupac Shakur has had his arraignment postponed again. It's now rescheduled for November 2nd. Dwayne Keith Davis faces a murder charge with use of a deadly weapon. The 60-year-old is expected to plead not guilty. This morning in court, the judge gave the continuation order for Davis to get things arranged with an attorney. This follows an earlier arraignment delay 2 weeks ago. Police say Davis is the only suspect in the case who is still alive.
I think Mr. Davis should be released on OR. He's not a flight risk. He's not a danger to the community. He's lived in Henderson for 11 years. And he's not going anywhere.
The decades-long investigation into Shakur's death in 1996 came to an end in the arrest of Davis late last month. Davis for years placed himself at the scene of the shooting. He said he was in the front seat of a Cadillac that pulled alongside Shakur's car when shots were fired from the back seat. Shakur was hit 4 times and died a few days later. Every year, the CDC says about 3,400 sudden, unexpected infant deaths happen in the U.S.
Many of those deaths are caused by unsafe sleep situations.
Keeping babies safe isn't just a day job. At night, some parents may unknowingly be putting their child in harm's way.
Resuscitating infants as a pediatric emergency room physician is one of the worst things we have to do to tell a parent that their child has died.
Dr. Sarah Lazarus with Children's Healthcare of Atlanta's Strong for Life program says the risk of sudden unexpected infant death syndrome is highest for children younger than 6 months. But experts say keeping babies safe when they sleep is as easy as ABC. A stands for alone.
As an exhausted parent, it's so easy to make a quick decision to put your child into bed with you, but that decision can really be fatal.
B is for back. Lazarus says a baby's neck isn't strong enough to prevent suffocation.
As long as your child is not rolling over, they need to be truly placed on their back, that the mattress be really firm and flat, so you don't want to use any inclined sleep surfaces.
And C is for clear. Your baby's sleeping area should have nothing but a fitted sheet in it.
Making sure that all blankets, stuffed animals, everything is removed from that crib.
And if your baby falls asleep in a car seat, move the child when you get to your destination. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Caught on camera, a school bus driver in Dallas saved a 7-year-old boy who was choking on her bus. The Dallas ISD team lead driver was covering a route when a 7-year-old boy began choking. The bus driver pulled over to help the student while asking another parent to call 911. After helping the student, 25 cents came out. The student promised that he wouldn't do that again, and since that day, his mother wanted to thank the bus driver in person. She couldn't have been more grateful. It was her who saved her son.
Former President George W. Bush was spotted at Globe Life Stadium in Arlington last night. Bush, along with his wife Laura, were in town for Game 3 of the American League Conference Series between the Texas Rangers and Houston Astros. The former president once owned part of the Rangers before selling his shares several years ago. The Rangers lead the series 2-1. Game 4 is tonight in Arlington.
Yes, sir. Game 4 is tonight. You can even watch it out on the patio because it's a pretty nice evening out there. Now, the temperatures are going to be almost near records for the next couple of days. But then next week, there's a whole lot of changes that we're going to have to watch. And we'll have all that coming up in just a moment. Welcome back, everyone. We're looking at 88 degrees right about now, pretty much the high that we expected for today. And tomorrow it's going to go up a little bit. We got up to an 89 is our official high, 56 the low. So we're pretty close to average type of temperatures for this time of the year. The next couple of days, and I'm just talking Friday, Saturday, it's just, you know, almost near records. But there is a change on the horizon, and that's the good news. Now, sometime tonight, we'll start feeling a northerly wind blowing through the area. You can see how it's coming down. That is going to get us back into the very dry atmosphere, and it's okay. The dry line of the frontal system, whatever we want to call it, sort of will drift through, and you'll hardly notice it. And then over the next couple of days, we'll start seeing the moisture coming in from the west. You can see it right about here, coming in somewhere on Saturday, and by Sunday we'll have more cloud cover, and then by Monday we'll start watching what's going on down here. You can see how the falling apart of the our tropical storm will start leading to Texas getting something. Okay, will we get it? I'm feeling good. Will we get all of it? No. In fact, it's a pretty widespread system that'll get rain everywhere. We are looking at mild 50s tonight, so not exactly chilly. And then tomorrow, it's toasty. We're looking for the 90s, a couple of upper 90s out west, so it's going to be hot for Friday and Saturday, whatever football game you go to, but you won't have any rainfall problems to deal with. Now, we're going through Future Tracker here. We start on Thursday. We go to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Tuesday, all the way to Tuesday. And yes, we do get into the rain business. Right now, the model is taking the heaviest activity all the way up into North Texas. That could change. That's just the current indication, and that's 5 days out, so there's always a little time to deal with, but we'll certainly update it as we get closer. Here is Norma, the reason for all our excitement. Not exciting for Baja California. They're going to get slammed by a Category 1, so it'll be 75 to 80 mile an hour winds. Let's just say there's going to be some problems, but it could be a whole lot worse, and they can sustain that kind of thing if you're in a sturdy building. It's just that a lot of people here are very humble, and they live in small homes, live on the mountainsides. There's going to be big mudslides coming down the mountainside. So then it gets into northern Mexico and the Baja Peninsula, and you can see very clearly how all the moisture, the dry air is the orange. The moist air is the one that gets into the whites here. There you see the peak of the storm. There you see how the moisture is beginning to slowly move up into Texas. We are right now on the dry side, but boy, will that be changing by next week. Once again, we look at it in the long term. This is as far as you can get. The high pressure will be with us for a day or so, but after the remnants of that system come through, then there's more behind it. So tomorrow we're looking for a warm 91 in the Port Lavaca area. We're looking for a warm 93 in Cuero, and then we'll take a look at our next 7 days. So dry line, yes, hot, clouds and more clouds, and a good chance for rain for about 4 days next week. That's your 7-day forecast. We want to remind you that we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that and put Crossroads Today on your phone. James, Karina, back to you.
Mac, thank you so much. Coming up next, we'll take a look at Wall Street. Plus, in business news, home sales dropped last month to their lowest level in 13 years.
Taking a look at your stocks, the Dow down 250 points, the S&P 500 down 36 points, and the Nasdaq down 128 points. Oil up $1.05, closing at $89.37 a barrel. Existing home sales fell 2% from August to September to a seasonally adjusted yearly rate of 3.96 million units. This comes amid high prices and mortgage rates affecting buyers. Data from Freddie Mac shows the 30-year fixed-rate mortgage averaged 7.63% in the week ending October 19th, up from 7.57% the week before. Another factor affecting home sales, a historically low supply of homes for sale. Low inventory is one of the main reasons prices are so high.
Amazon is planning to expand its drone delivery service. Right now, Prime Air is only available in College Station and Lockford, California. The company says it will expand to another state in 2024, along with locations in Europe. A College Station customer received the first Amazon Prime Air prescription delivery on Tuesday. Representatives say this service launched just in time for cold and flu season in an effort to make it easier to get medication without risking infecting others when you go out and about. Too neat. This year's extreme heat may have cost the state's economy $24 billion. You can read this story by the Texas Tribune at our website, crossroadstoday.com.
Stay with us. We'll take one last look at your forecast, plus a picture reveals a new discovery on the planet Jupiter. Plus, here's a look at world news tonight, right after 25 News Now at 5.
Coming up tonight, breaking news, the U.S. firing its first shots in defense of Israel. President Biden set to address the nation. Also, the alert for Americans abroad. And the audio tonight, authorities say Natalie Holloway's killer for the first time, and remembering a favorite from the Rocky movies next.
NASA has discovered a new feature of Jupiter's atmosphere. This image from the James Webb Space Telescope shows a narrow jet stream traveling at about 320 miles per hour. About twice the strength of a Category 5 hurricane. NASA says the jet stream spans more than 3,000 miles and is located about 25 miles above the clouds in Jupiter's lower stratosphere. Scientists are using data from the telescope to discover the jet stream. Mac, tell us more.
Well, it's an unusual picture because usually the big spot is red, so they were using a different, I think they're using the colors to determine, you know, which is going which way and which is going the other. I mean, it's really very detailed work to see from, what, a couple 100 million miles away, to see what's going on there. But the jets, it has bands going round and round and round, and that color spot's been spinning around there for a couple million years, so it's amazing. It's just that we all live here together.
It is.
And what about here on planet Earth?
Here on planet Earth, I've got that one for you.
Bring us down to Earth.
Got you covered. That little front is really kind of a dry line that's coming through. We'll have a hot weekend in the 90s, but next week there's a good shot we'll get some rain. It's coming at us from the west, and there's a good shot that behind that there's cooler weather. So I'm predicting chilly weather for Halloween right now.
All right, thank you. Thank you for being with us.
We hope to see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 6.